Mixing lead guitars should be very fun and quick and easy, and in today's video I want to show you 3 examples of that in completely different songs and even genres. I'm gonna mix those lead guitars from scratch right in front of you here and explain my entire thought process behind it. So I've got a couple examples that I want to use. The first one here is a pop rock track. Let's check it out. Second one is more of like a metalcore guitar solo. And this third one is more like a rock tune again. Alright, let's check all of these examples. I'll start with the first one, obviously, and as I usually do in my videos, I can totally show you the plugins that I'm using and all the settings and everything, but much rather I would just mix those from scratch right in front of you so that you can really see the thought process and see me making the decision rather than looking back at something that I already did, right? So I don't really like that, so let's load up a new plugin here. Let's put it in solo first and see what we need, what we're hearing. Let me actually get rid of the effects really quick. Here we go. So we've got a nice creamy kind of mid-rangey guitar tone, and I'm just going to focus on trying to get as much of that mid-range to really, you know, come out in the best way possible. So that's really the right frequency already. Just almost that honky sound, but in this case it's really contributing to this guitar tone feeling like full and just taking up a lot of space in solo at least. So we'll have to see what it sounds like in the mix here, but I do really emphasizing that mid-range a lot. And then I want to make it brighter. And that's because the brighter you make a sound, the more you're going to really push it in your face, right? Because high frequencies are the first to die when you put more distance between you and a sound source. So when a sound has a lot of high frequencies left, then our brain is going to think like that sound must be close because the high frequencies haven't died yet. And so a lot of high frequencies again to push it in my face. Simultaneously want to do a healthy amount of de-harshing because we obviously bring up a lot of these high frequencies here, which inevitably gives us a little bit of harshness too. That sounds totally fine. I want to compress it, and compression with the goal here is simply to get more cohesion, I should say, or just more consistency between all these different guitar notes here. I want all of these to pretty much be the same volume so that the listener has absolutely no problem just hooking on to that melody, right? That's about it. Just for the sake of safety, I'm going to do a bit of low cutting here. Just getting rid of any unwanted sub-low end that we really don't need in this guitar part here. That seems to be good. And now let's saturate it. This is probably one of my favorite features of this plugin because it just gives you the illusion that instead of having just the one guitar layer, we're going to end up with 3 that are just stacked on top of each other. It's that big sounding, right? Just adding so much extra information here. Obviously, there's a bit of a volume increase as well. But seeing that is what we started with, we're actually doing a lot while still maintaining the integrity of the sound that we actually came up with after the amp sim here. So this literally just sounds like a better version of the sound that we had, which is exactly what I'm looking for when I'm mixing guitars. So let's see what this sounds like in context of the full mix, obviously, because it can sound amazing in solo, but it doesn't mean that it sounds great in the mix. Let's see what we need to do here. Let me just unsolo these. So they're obviously a little bit loud. And when we just bypassed that plugin, I immediately felt like we pretty much nailed it right in solo here, which is rare, obviously. I don't even want to do a lot of tweaking as soon as I put the rest of the instruments in the mix here. It seems to have the right amount of low end, like it's not building up too much low mids, and it's not distracting from any other low end instruments here. There's a lot of definition in the mid range, and it's bright enough so that it feels a little bit closer to me, a little bit in my face. Now I'm going to put the effects back on, so the delay sense that I've got going on here. And that, of course, gives you a nice kind of sense of ambience around it, which is way too much in this case, so we'll probably have to lower this send a little bit. And we're simultaneously sacrificing a little bit of that top end boost that really pushed the guitar like closer to us in our face. But now, of course, we have a lot more effects going on, so it's way more vague. It takes a little step back into the mix as well. And after that, it's really just a matter of finding that sweet spot with the fader. A common issue that I see when people are mixing guitars or lead guitars or any guitar in general is that when a guitar doesn't really cut through or it doesn't take up the right position in the mix, the first tool people go for is more EQ, more compression, more saturation, more effects, all these things. When in reality, 9 out of 10 times when your guitar sounds decent in solo and it sounds decent in the context of the full mix, the simplest way to just get it to poke through more is just to raise the fader a little bit. Which seems to be, for some reason, the last resort solution for a lot of people. Make it your first. That's the best tip I can give you in this video. Alright, time for a change. Time for some metal here. Let's check out this metalcore guitar solo. Again, I'm just going to dial this in from scratch, so let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of the effect, a new plugin, and here we go. Alrighty, let's see what we're dealing with in terms of the raw sound here. Okay, so all the ingredients are there, but we just need to bring them out more. So what I mean by that, we have some clear, like all the notes are pretty clearly audible. The performance is decent for sure. There's a bunch of building up low end, which is probably going to mess with the low end that we have in the massive chugging rhythm guitars. And yeah, we get a little bit of harshness in this guitar tone as well. So those are the main problems that I'm listening for. And let's see how we can solve them. So first, let's do some low cutting. Pretty much immediately solves that, and we're just getting rid of all the low end that we don't need. There's not going to be any musical information in that area, so we can safely get rid of that. Now, let's see about bringing out that more like that mid-range definition again. If we go too high on the frequency, it starts to get a little bit more harsh than I'm hoping for. I want this to be more beefy, so lower mid-range. Pretty much right there, so we get a nice warm sound instead of a kind of more of like a harsh sound. I do want, for the same reason, that top end boost, right? I do want to push it more in my face, so I'm gonna do that top end boost and definitely have to do some deharshing as well. And it's actually funny that the extra deharshing that we're doing allows us to make it even a bit brighter so that we push it even more in your face, right? So I'm happy with that for now, at least in solo. Compression, same goal, just looking for consistency across this entire solo. Just getting, I don't know, more cohesion, more consistency is the best way I can explain that. If we start to do too much gain reduction, then to me it starts to feel a little pumpy, as if he starts to move back and forth again in the front to depth image. But if we find the sweet spot, which is between -3, -6 in this case, what I'm noticing then is that the position of the guitar solo is very consistent. So not only are all the notes very easily audible, but also like the front to back position becomes super stable. It sits right there. And again, that's exactly what I want. So let's see what kind of saturation we like on this one. You know I love saturation, so I'm gonna push that far, pretty much always. So inflate gives us a little bit too much of that same kind of mid-range area, so I'm not gonna use that. Focus actually seems to give me a little bit more presence, so let's start with that, see if we like that, because I feel like once we put this in context of the full mix, we may have to do a bit of fine tweaking. Let's check it out. So yeah, I'm not too stoked with the decision about the mid-range frequency yet. I feel like there's a little bit more, I guess, musical information slightly higher up, so I'm gonna boost that instead. What I love here is that I can't even know what kind of frequency I'm boosting here, and the best part about it is I don't even care. Right, that's not important. What is important is where does it give me the feeling like that's the kind of definition that I'm looking for, which in this case slightly above the middle. Can do a slightly less boosting there. We don't need that much. Let's turn the effects back on. And once again, I'm just playing with the output here. I'm just looking for the right position in the mix. As soon as we get nice mid-range, we get a nice amount of brightness so that it sits nicely up front. And we have a lot of consistency with that compression. After that, it's all going to be about that fader again. Just looking for the right position. And don't go to any weird tricks or like mid-side stuff or try to duck other things or whatever. Just try to find the right fader position for this instrument here. And that's pretty much it. And when it comes to the right fader position, what does that actually mean? And to me, it's always been like the most upfront position in the mix, because I obviously want the listener that's listening to this song to focus all of his attention on that guitar solo right now. Right? It's the star of the mix for obvious reasons. Same as like the vocals in the chorus would be the star of the mix, so it's going to be the loudest, most upfront thing. And same with lead guitars, right? You want them just as loud as you would mix your lead vocals, so that again, the listener pays full attention to the guitar solo. Alright, we're back into rock music now. Let's check out the lead guitar for this song here. Oh yeah, I'll show you how to mix it like that, but if you want to mix this song yourself, this one is actually available inside our Session Vault, which is where we have a whole lot of multi-tracks for you to practice with and build your portfolio with, which is all part of the Artist Pass. So if you want to jump into that, click the link below and we'll see you inside the community. Let's check out the lead guitar in solo, and I'll bypass these plugins and mix these from scratch. So the tone itself, it's good. It has a nice warm mid-range, which I want to bring out a lot more. There's a bunch of excessive low end that we don't need, so we're going to take that out. And it's definitely a little harsh, right? So we have to get rid of some of that as well. That's the goal. That's what we're going to do here. Here we go. So I'll just do the deharsing first. That seems to be the most obvious thing to start with here, because that's probably going to give us problems. So even if we're going to be boosting mid-range without that deharsing actually, it's probably just not going to, sound great anyway, because it's still going to be harsh. So that's why I did start with the deharsing. Again, just looking for the right frequency to boost here, because if I go too low, it gets a little boomy, right? It's definitely gonna mess with our rhythm guitars and possibly even our bass guitar too much here, and it's not really gonna cut through. It's not gonna give us a lot of definition. So I'm just looking for that sweet spot. Over here it gets too bright and it gets harsh and fizzy again, so it's pretty much the center here. And I'm gonna do a big boost, because if we bypass just these two little moves here, that's already a massive difference there. I'm actually gonna make this one, yeah, a little brighter as well, for the same reason as with the other lead guitar parts. I would just want to push it more in my face, more, yeah, just to the front of the mix, really. I'm definitely going to keep that fairly subtle though, because I want that mid-range to be the star here. And I don't want this to be super, super bright, because it's not a super modern, like heavy track or something. It's more like an old school kind of vibe going on here. And kind of like a warm mid-rangey rock vibe, right? So that's why I don't want to make it too bright. Just focus on that mid-range. Let's cut some low end here. We don't need any sub low end in this lead guitar, obviously. And now let's compress and saturate it a bit. This sounds a little bit more glued together, as if all the individual guitar notes kind of, you know, have the same volume, same kind of, I don't know, like, how would you say that? It's the same kind of squash going on a little bit, but it's a nice squash. It sounds consistent, kind of pumpy almost, but it's such a pleasant way of kind of having that dynamically pumping there. So let's just try some saturation, see whichever we like. Inflate is good, but maybe it will make that mid-range a little bit too much. So let's try focus here. This one is a little bit higher up in the frequency spectrum. I do like it smooth. Let's see what that's doing. Smooth sounds a little too, I don't know, too broad for me. I want to go with focus here. It seems to be pretty much the right kind of focused frequency area where it tends to do most of its saturation. Let's see. Let's put that in the mix and let's mute the other lead part for now. We don't even have to do a lot of adjusting here. I'm wondering if I want to make it a little bit brighter so that it takes a little bit more step forward. But then I want to lower the volume a little bit. That seems to be good for now. We actually have a harmony for this guitar part down here. It's basically having the same problems, right? It's like, it's got a nice warm tone, but the warmth isn't there yet. You know what I mean? So let's actually get rid of this plugin and let's dial it in from scratch. Here we go. So I'm probably going to start the same way, just having more mid-range. I'll just crank it up a bit. Again, trying to get that warm mid-range character to cut through more. But in this case, I'm probably going to make it darker. Because like the reason why we're boosting top end on the other ones is to really bring it more forward, right? More in your face. And then if we cut some top end, it's going to push this one a little further back. So we get a nice front to back imaging between these two guitar layers here. Definitely want to do that same deharsing as we did on the other one as well. And the compression and saturation is probably going to be the same. That's yes for compression. Let's see saturation. Yeah, again, I like the focus. No, actually focus tends to be a little too dark now. Let's go with inflate for this one. And let's balance that out. Okay, I'd say that's pretty much... You can tell, right, by the high cut that we did, that the second layer is way further to the background. Because even when we push it pretty loud, it never seems to take over the lead position, the most upfront position. It simply can't, right? Because we made it so dark here. even when we match the volume and even when we have this one a little louder than the brighter one, it still feels as if it's sitting behind it, right? So that I love that. I love that trick. I love using those high frequencies and the amount of high frequencies to really push things either to the background or really in your face. And then I had this doubler plugin after this one as well, because I just want to give it a little bit of like stereo width and just kind of like a cool phasey sound. I'm just playing with the gain for the direct sound here, so it's mostly going to be the effect sound that we're listening to, and it's going to kind of spread it out, you know, to the sides of that lead guitar here. And I'm just gonna use this one more as like an effect guitar and not really as like I want this to be super audible on its own kind of thing here. Especially when we put that in context of the full mix. It is 90% that lead line right down the center, right? We don't really even hear this one, the one with the doubler here, because it's just kind of spread out to the sides here, which is, again, exactly what I wanted. The other interesting part I want to show you here is that we have this lead guitar in the chorus, which is where we have more distorted rhythm guitars coming in as well. And this one was actually kind of a little bit of a challenge to make this cut through here. Check it out. So as you can hear, it's kind of in the same frequency range as the rhythm guitars. I'm pretty sure they used the same tone while recording this for the rhythm and the leads here. And so I'm just boosting again way more mid-range on this one, not making it super bright, but just pushing a ton of mid-range to really get it to cut through here. And I don't want to make it so bright so that it starts to sit in front of our lead vocal, which I do think is the star of the mix in this chorus here. And that's where we can use the fader, right, as the most easy tool in order to give us really that right position in the mix. So let's see what happens if we just raise the volume a bunch here. While we just increase the volume here, it starts to immediately mess with our vocals, right? The vocals are not as clear anymore. They're not the main focus point anymore. So let's bring it back down. And I just lowered it a little bit too much on purpose so that we can really see that, okay, now it's just not audible anymore, right? So again, fader position is everything here. And that is pretty much where I would set it, where it sits slightly behind the vocal, but it's still very audible and it's still very, it contributes a lot to the sense of ambience and space in this chorus here. Alright, so there you have it. We have mixed 3 different lead guitars. They were all fairly quick and painless, right, to mix. So hopefully you can take that with you as well. Just try to make sure that the mid-range is really where those guitars are cutting through, and use the fader as your main tool in order to really give it the right position in the mix. So I hope you found value in this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.